All right, guys, we got to talk about a rescue agency known as the Minnesota Vikings. All right, they prevented another former New York quarterback from losing his way. Daniel Jones, surprisingly, since the last time that we all were recording last week, got cut. Made it through waivers by the New York Giants. Yeah, got cut by the New York Giants. Made it through waivers, and then signs with the Minnesota Vikings. Patrick, what the fuck?
I mean, it makes a ton of sense for us.
Does it?
Yeah, we've been low-key roasting the backup quarterback situation in Minnesota for a minute.
Have you heard of Nick Mullins? Because I don't ever want to see that guy on the field again. For the video audience, here's Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones competing against each other in a cornhole tournament.
Oh, that's so cute.
I don't know when.
Look at these just aggressively below average quarterbacks.
Oh, come on now. I think they're both aggressively average, honestly.
Well, Sam Darnold has elevated his game.
We'll see what happens now that Jones has left the clown show, the clown car. He's left the circus.
I mean, and like
he's joining the real world.
You get handed a pretty decent set of keys if Darnold gets hurt or fucks it up.
I mean, yeah, he's all of a sudden got Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. It's a much better team, and a coach that actually knows what quarterbacks are. So, yeah, it's the idea that if Sam Darnold needs to miss a quarter, I'll feel much better. I will feel much better with Daniel Jones than I ever would with Nick Mullins or the likes of Kellen Mond or whoever else I've had to see this team run out there.
Oh man, don't do this to yourself. But I get it.
I'm not saying I want him to start. I'm just saying he's a much better backup than we had, and we don't have to pay him many things. He's, nothing. He's free, basically.
Right. That's fair. Now, you gave us the perspective of the Giants. I mean, not the Giants, the Vikings. Now, let's talk about the Giants' perspective, because I was laughing so fucking hard when this happened. Because who could forget the offseason that they gave him this extension, and then they gave Saquon the tag.
They quite literally documented it.
And they documented all of this too.
They sold it to
now they don't have either one. They don't have either one.
They somehow out Jerry.
This is the thing here. You can't, if you're gonna clown him for making those moves, then you can't clown him for making this one.
I'm going to clown them for everything, Patrick. You can't tell me not to clown them for anything.
At this point, they had to.
I will clown
they had to do.
They did a good job for cutting him, but like Patrick, it's impressive. It's impressive how bad that clip was. It was like instantly. I think there's a lot of people who could still maybe even be right about Saquon to the Eagles long term, but I mean, at this point, it already looks like that argument's mostly dull. But like. Maybe he still doesn't work out as far as winning a Super Bowl, and then they got to retool the money things. Whatever. Maybe there's still a negative here. Maybe there's still a negative. But for the most part, no matter how you felt about that Saquon signing, the moment you saw that clip, it almost certainly felt like at least this season was coming. I don't know what the whole Saquon Eagles thing looks like at the end of the day.
I mean, I just think that was necessary, and I think it was the right thing to do.
No.
This season
paying him was wrong. Paying him was wrong, but
I just paying him would have been a lot better than this.
No, because then no, they're wasting money. They don't need to do that.
They're only wasting money if they don't build that offensive line, which they didn't end up doing.
All he's going to do is accidentally win you more games than you need to win, and then you're further behind.
Though. Because here's the reason why. The Giants just are this... It's like this team of destiny, but in the worst way possible. Like, they are destined to fail no matter what happens. It's just, do you want to make it an enjoyable ride down this path of misery? And the Giants said, no, we want to stick with Daniel Jones, and we want to build around him, which they didn't do, really. I mean, they got him Malik Neighbors, but like,
they kept
the worst offensive line in the division.
Throw it to him, bitch.
Yeah, and then they're like, Joe Schoen.
We got Darren Waller.
Yeah, Joe Schoen is like, listen, we can replace Saquon. And he tried to throw out these advanced analytics, I think, on some running backs. We're like, we can replace him with Devin Singletary, which they ended up paying him the same amount around the same amount that Saquon ended up getting. And then you realize Devin Singletary is just a guy. He is a Jag, okay? Not a Jaguar for those who are uninitiated to the terminology. But I just look at this and I'm like, all right, they decided they're going to die on the hill of Daniel Jones. And then so they essentially let Saquon go or plan to let him go. And now they don't have either one. I don't remember how many years still remaining on that deal for Daniel Jones, but it's just hilarious that they just like, all right, we're just going to bet on Daniel Jones. And immediately it blew up in their face. And then they're like, well, we're not going to try very hard to sign Saquon. And the owner's like, as long as he doesn't go to Philadelphia, immediately blows up in their face. And my favorite thing about one of the clips is that you could tell in the office when they're discussing the Saquon thing, one guy is just really politely trying to nudge Joe Shane, like, hey, are you sure, like, the market for Saquon won't actually be really active? Like, are you positive? Like, he's trying to really say in a nice way, you're being fucking stupid here. Please don't go within this direction. And Joe Shane's like, nah, we got this figured out, and it just blows up in his face. So
I don't think that blows up in his face, though.
It is because he's gonna get fired.
It's the right move for the team.
He's gonna get.
So what if they take Genty with 1, 2, 3, 4?
Then you got to kick him again because that's a problem. But I mean, when you look
Joe
at
Shane's not going to make that decision. He's getting fired at the end of the season. Regardless.
So they draft Saquon with the second pick in the draft. Then
they don't build the offensive line. Was the biggest problem after that.
Then they grab a quarterback with the 6th pick the next year with Daniel Jones. So then they get an offensive tackle, Andrew Thomas, 4th pick. And then all of a sudden they jump up to the 20th pick and the 24th pick. And so it's not like they're just getting the best draft picks. So they need
but I mean, there's plenty of franchises that turn the 20th pick, not just the Cowboys. Obviously, I'm hinting at them, but there are other teams that can get quality linemen play out of undrafted players, dude. Like,
I'm just saying they're not being slotted as they're not drafting as if they're the worst team in the NFL, even though they have been for a couple of years, basically. But they weren't because they had Saquon Barkley. So you had to it sucks, but you have to bite that bullet.
Yeah, if their plan was always to rebuild and tank, then sure, it's the right move to let him go. I don't think that that's what they wanted to do. However, I didn't watch the full season of Hard Knocks or that offseason, so I don't know what their plans were. But I doubt that they really wanted to rebuild.
They didn't really have any great plans. I'm not trying to defend the organization other than I think this one move is. I think both of these moves of letting both those guys go correct.
Sure, because the result may be the correct one, but the process.
Oh, the process is fucked. Yeah.
I also just want to know what their intel was on where he would have signed, because I know that people were odds making the Cowboys, but we all knew that the Cowboys probably weren't going to spend that money, right? We don't need to get into that bag.
High in the odds during the Saquon Barkley.
Weren't they the odds favorites to start because everyone was trying to suggest. I
thought Derrick Henry was the odds-on favorite to go to Dallas.
Yeah, I guess because he would have been local and a little bit cheaper. Yeah. But then you have Chargers. I think were also part of this conversation. Who else was in the Saquon game in the rumor mill?
I mean, obviously, I'm trying to look.
The Cowboys would have, even if they would have been in the rumor mill, never a part of it.
I think Chicago, Philadelphia, maybe the Chargers,
why would you think somebody else. Yeah. So they were just hoping the Bears were about to overpay for a running back to go with their rookie quarterback.
Yeah, and then they ended up going with DeAndre Swift instead, and then Philadelphia made the move on Saquon.
And Saquon has Saquon ever said if he took less to go to Philly, or if he took
money that was on par with the Giants offer? I don't think that means less. I think that just means slightly a little bit more to go to Philly.
So yeah, I mean, he ends up they end up basically putting him into the fuck you decision to go to the rival. Yeah, which maybe they thought there was, maybe they had dreams of DeMarco Murray in their head, but it looks like
oh no. It's looking
honestly at this point, even if the guy never played another down, it already feels like a moral pretty bad moral loss just from the.
Absolutely. And imagine too if he breaks Eric Dickerson's rushing record in single season rushing record. No, doesn't matter what the final result of Saquon to Philly is going to be. That's what's going to be immortalized forever.
Yeah, it will be for sure.
So, either way, the Giants are a cavalcade of fuck-ups, and they continue to be. And I thank you so much, New York Giants, for continuing to give me this content in which I can slander you. And we'll see what happens with Daniel Jones in Minnesota. He's still a free agent after the end of the year.
We'll probably end up signing him back so that we'll have someone for McCarthy to.
Well, no, because you're gonna get the other New York reject afterwards. It's just in the cards. You've already taken in one.
We're gonna have a moratorium. Yeah, once does not make a pattern. I think there should be a moratorium.
Twice. This is twice, actually.
Moratorium.
Twice is a pattern.
No, not. It only happened once. It doesn't count.
What do you mean? Sam Darnold came from the Jets.
Sam Darnold,
not directly, but
there's so many. There's already too many holes in this theory, and we can't. I'm putting
not a hole.
Putting an official moratorium on saying that other guy's name on this podcast until there's actually a reason to. But I'm tired of seeing reports about that guy.
Dude, I'm so excited for the reports to continue, though. I'm actually.
That's fine. I just don't want to say his name until there's a actual real reason to.
Say his name. Say his name.
I don't think they're going to do it this season, though. I think we got to wait till next season to find out the next chapter in that saga.
Yeah. Anyway,
I can tell you, KOC's not doing any of that. Quessy ain't doing that either.
We'll see.
I can't find anything about I can only find one article about teams likely to sign Saquon off quick Google searches, and it had Houston, Dallas, and Chicago in it.
Right,
which Houston might have made sense because they were pretty high.
They did end up signing Joe Mixon.
Yeah, and he's done all right.
And logically, if you were a football team that was trying to spin to win championships, perhaps the Cowboys would have considered it. But of course, reality is they probably never even realized that Saquon was available.
Where would Zeke play if you had Saquon?
Oh, God love the Joneses. They really are a special breed.
They're not the only ones, but they're the ones we see every day. So
it's true.
All right, fellas. Now,
as previously discussed, the Giants.
The Giants.